Well, all right. Um, Welcome everyone to our fourth podcast for which is related to Dante and Virgil musings. We have a very special guest here today. His name is Rob, and so Rob, are you there? Are you available?
He will be here, I'm sure of it.
Okay.
But for now, let's just keep talking and see how it goes.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so
Okay, it helps if I unmute myself. Sorry about that.
you didn't realize you were muted the whole time?
Right, yeah. So
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, yeah, so it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, right on time. Um Thank you again, Rob, for joining us for our fourth podcast. How are you doing tonight?
great and yourself?
I'm doing great. So like I said, the topic of this room here is turning messes in your life into a powerful message. So to get started here, tell us about yourself, Rob.
Sure, give me just 1 second. Let's share the room in the hallway first, okay?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so I've pinged everyone that I've seen. So let's see. Did
Yeah,
I
everyone I
did,
could.
did I know?
Me
So
too. Right.
so let's get back here. Okay, so welcome Tim, welcome Alice, welcome Richard. I so appreciate your being here to support me.
Yes, thank you very
So,
much for joining.
yes, it is. So just for recording purposes, today is the 18th of August 2022. Um, and thank you for the invitation, Brandon and Chase. Um,
Sure, you're very
and
welcome.
so so um so what I typically do is I throw humor into things because that's what keep that's what keeps people paying attention, and it maximizes the learning because when you laugh, it maximizes learning. So 1 second here. Um, so now, so the bottom line is that in the first 7 years of our life, we have like a virtual tape recorder running, and that tape recorder records everything that we do, say, hear, how we react, how we don't react, what people say to us. And if people like do something hurtful or something shameful, if they laugh at us because we choke on, I don't know, a piece of broccoli, okay? Then, then in the future, we may never eat broccoli. Obviously, it's an extreme example, but I'm doing that on purpose to say that when something negative happens, we immediately go to judgment, conclusion, shame, blame, whatever, based upon the event. And and many times, unless we do things to improve ourselves, uh, we don't realize that we don't like broccoli, or why we don't like broccoli. Whether we don't like redheads, blondes, brunettes. Um, it puts a chip on our shoulder for whatever that particular event is, and then we walk around with a chip on our shoulder for many years until somehow, some way, we realize that we have a chip on our shoulder. Just using an example, of course. And now, one more here. But then again, you know, and we may figure out that chip is a chocolate chip and it's nice and sweet. Not bad joke, but seriously. So we develop these chips on our shoulder, and they grow and they grow and they grow, and a lot of times we don't even pay attention to them because it's just an automatic response. When we see X, we think, we do Y. And we think we're making intelligent decisions. But in actuality, we're just going off of what our, blueprint is, shall I say. You know? So it's really enlightening when later in life, if there is a later in life, if and when we do personal development, that that we realize that we're programmed, and that one moment here, and that we're like a computer. And I don't know about you, but I don't like being a computer. I like being the genuine um person person that I am. But in order to be genuine, first we need to do a lot of work on ourselves, personal development work. Because if we don't, then we just walk around with judgments and conclusions galore. That life sucks. That whatever it is, because somebody made fun of us when I stuttered, or when I did this, or when I did that. I was picked on, bullied, shamed, made fun of, ignored mainly, uh, because when you're learning to grow up, when you're learning to talk, and you can't say your own frickin' name. I was saying my name as IEO rather than Robbie Hodes, simply because um, I can only say vowels and not consonants. Um, and so it was so it was really frustrating. And who wants to hang around with a person who can't even talk? Now, obviously, that got improved, and I learned to say my name, but I was still stuttering a lot, 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 lot. And obviously I did that on purpose. But when I am nervous, I do stutter because that's just my reaction. So if I stutter during this conversation, it's because I'm nervous and I haven't realized it. But I've done 38 years worth of personal development on myself to be the genuine, caring, loving person that I am now, who, um, and that I can actually coach people and to achieve greatness in their life. And that's my heart and my passion. But of course we need to make a living as well. But so that's the really short Reader's Digest condensed version of the first few years of of my life. And thank you so much for joining us, Sat. I so appreciate you. Um, and So one moment here. And if I put myself on mute for a moment, I don't want to cough in anyone's ear. So, so that's how my life started. And then I eventually got friends, but I wouldn't really call them friends because, they were wanting to quote unquote toughen me up. So, so I grew up on Long Island in New York. And thank you so much, Sad Ice. I love you. I love you, and I love everyone in this room. But that's a result of all the personal development I've done. But when you're a teenager, um, and you think that people are your friends, and you're thrown into a very prickly rose bush on the side of your home, that sort of would anyone in their right mind would would be annoyed, pissed off, would be angry, whatever the emotion is. And then, of course, sometimes we don't feel our emotion. I personally wasn't diagnosed on the autism spectrum. I have Asperger's, high functioning autism, and ADHD. I wasn't diagnosed on the autism spectrum until I was like 35. And I was doing these personal development courses. I did a personal development course. And this is just my experience. I'm not selling anything here, but if you have any questions about anything, you're always welcome to raise your hand and come up on stage, and or put the question in the chat, or reach out to me directly with a back channel or whatever. Um, so so I was taking these personal development courses, and but I realized that I wasn't feeling much, and I didn't. And we know what we know. We know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know. And I was getting some results, but not really the results that I wanted. So in 2001, I did a men's only course called the Sterling Men's Weekend. And it's basically about, it's, some people call it, turning from boy into man. But technically in the Jewish faith, which I am, you do that when you're 13 after your bar mitzvah. But even though we might have a chronological age of 35 or 25 or whatever it is, we may not have the maturity to 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 do things. So as I was growing up and learning to talk more, and by the way, I finally learned to not stutter hardly at all after I took a course in my late teens by a place called the Sterling Men's Weekend. Oh, actually, no, the stuttering was from the National Center for Stuttering, and literally, I had an issue getting the first syllable of my words out. So every week for like a year and a half, I would literally blow. They had me doing exercises where I would blow uh, air into like this rubber hose. And then after I blew the air into the rubber hose, I could say my first syllable. So, um, and then so I started getting good at that, and I was great. And then I went off to college, and I was born with scoliosis, curvature of the spine. And I had a checkup before college, and the doctor was saying, "Okay, you have curvature of the spine, and if you don't wear this back brace, your back is going to be in bad shape for your entire life, and you're going to be doing yourself a real disservice." So, so I wore this back brace in my first semester in college. Shy introverted nerd who was like Pee Wee Herman. Or if you don't know who Pee Wee Herman is, most people do hear. I was like Steve Urkel, you know, with the high water pants, as they call them. Um, and so I was wanting to be cool, but I didn't have any social skills because because I had just learned the art of speaking. So people would, some people would want to hang out with me, but I remember a time where I was begging and begging a guy to go to a concert with me. And he finally said yes after I said, "Okay, I'll pay for your ticket." And then the guy never shows up at the concert. This was before cell phones in the 80s. And so I got the message, okay, guess he doesn't want to talk to me. So there was a lot of pain. There was a tremendous amount of internal stored pain upset, shame, blame. What the blank is wrong with me? Why don't people want to be with me? Well, because I was doing things to be liked. And literally in the year 2000 or so, somebody said, you know what, you're a lot easier to be with now that you're not doing things, so just so people like you. And and actually it was 2001, I believe, because I did my Sterling Men's Weekend in 2001, and it was after I did that course when where I got all the one second here. Looks like I'm all choked up about what I'm saying. No, seriously. So, um, so I was, so I was being more genuine and more honest and more sincere, and I was, gaining friends here and there. But I still, you had a long ways to go. Some of you, uh, may remember the Virginia Slims commercial. This was like 40 years ago, or maybe 30. And that commercial says, "You've come a long way, baby." So by saying that, I've I'm acknowledging myself that I've come a long way, and I find that many people do not acknowledge themselves for their growth, and they don't know how to even acknowledge their growth. So the reason why I took all these courses, I did the Mankind Project, I did Landmark and Peak Potentials, was so that I could connect with people honestly, genuinely, and sincerely. And I thank Richard. I'm sure Richard has seen me grow like a weed since I've known him for, I don't recall how long I've known Richard, 10 or t- 10 or 15 years. The same thing with Tim, even though I've only known Tim for like a couple years. And hello, Teresa, welcome. So so with these courses, I yo I've learned to how to communicate with people, how to coach them, because my passion is not in my day job. I do call center customer service for an insurance company to pay the bills. My passion is in sharing my many wins and my many growth opportunities. I don't call them challenges, I call them growth opportunities, because it's a challenge to me is like is just negative, and I've learned to be enthusiastically positive and always look for the lesson. If I don't know, you have a car accident and you total your car, well, at least I had insurance, and they're paying for, I don't know, 25% of my down down payment. So that's the short version of a lot longer story.
Perfect. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Rob, for sharing your story. Would you want us to ask us any additional questions, or do you have more to
Well,
share? Or
well, I mean, yes, I do, but I don't want to monopolize the conversation, because I want to turn this into like an interaction, and if
okay,
and and if people, in the audience, um, and hello Rosie, hello Nuala, hello Hope, hello Stefan. Thank you for being here and listening and hopefully gaining some insight. Because what I found is that there is no failure in life. Fail means for all I learned. So I had to learn how to harvest the growth opportunities and stop running away from fear, because fear doesn't stand for F everything and run. After you work with a coach, a mentor, a pastor, a minister, a therapist, whatever, it's more like you're feeling excited and ready. So I encourage anyone and everyone to work with a person of their choosing. You resonate with me, check out my profile, go to my website. Yo, but make sure you resonate with the person when you talk to them, because everything in life is is energy and an energetic connection. And people are welcome to come on come on stage and share their stories, ask me questions. I'm an open book, you
I have a
know.
question for you,
And
Rob.
I don't mind looking bad. Go for it.
What was the most challenging mentorship you've ever taken on so far?
Um, hmm, I would say, well, in terms of mentoring others or mentoring myself,
Mentoring others.
um, is to well, it depends upon the person, but because each person is an individual. So here's some examples. I don't, they're not. I wouldn't exactly call them challenging for me, but they're challenging for others because my friend Rudy, who is one of my clients, um, he has you a very small window. Like for example, you know, you look through your eyes and you can only see straight forward, or you can see 180 degrees. Rudy is I love the guy to pieces, and I'm on a men's team with him. Um, and sharing with him secrets to success, how he can make more money, how he can get more out of life. But sometimes people, you know, especially in his case, he doesn't know what questions to ask himself because he has such a limited purview of life. And I'm not saying that as negative. I'm saying that as reality, and I honor everyone for where they are and where they want want to be. So I will be showing him how to think outside the box. Um, there was another example where my friend David, he had no sense of humor. He was a financial guy, and so literally I did I had sessions with him whereby I would give him words, and I would have him think of funny ways to make fun of that, or to come up with a different word or things like that. So everything is always personalized and individual. Those are two examples of and um but my main task is to and I got this saying from Richard knows who Michael Beckwith is from the International Spiritual Center. He says, I comfort the afflicted and I afflict the comfortable. So that's what I do as a coach. And that's my joy and my honor. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Rob, um, I'm sure you have many mentors in your life. Um, which mentors would you regard as, I guess, that you look up to that helped you the most in your life? And in what way?
My best friend John, who I've known since 1984. We did courses together at the Summit organization. Um, and He's seen me grow exponentially. And he's one of those wisdomly guys. He's like a father knows best kind of guy, whereby you ask him questions and he always has like a really good response. So without him, Lord knows where I'd be. And my mother, well, my mother's not a mentor, but my brother, who stuck me through thick and thin, and I had to heal that relationship because he didn't, um, he was hanging out with his own friends as a kid, and I occasionally hung out with his friends, but I literally had to heal that relationship, but with him and the guys that threw me into the rose bush, and my parents who did the best they could, but you can't teach a person something that you don't know. So I learned to accept them as the caring, loving people that they are, and take responsibility for what I wanted and needed to learn, which is something that I encourage other people to do. And a lot of people don't take the time to get a mental health diagnosis like I did. I know Chase and Brandon, you're on the autism spectrum. What have been some of your challenges? Hello, Mr. Carter. Thank you so much for joining us. I so appreciate you.
Brandon, go ahead.
Sure. So for me, growing up, honestly, it was very similar to you, Rob. Man, if I could go back to the days I was in uh, elementary, middle, and high school, where I was actually, yeah, I was also the quiet kid. I mean, who's into shy, nerdy kid that was into, the ordinary stuff. Even though I do fondly remember relating to at least some people because I happened to be, an avid gamer back then. But at the same time, if I look back, I think because I didn't have many friends at the time, I didn't really have much of a social life growing up, if I had to be very honest with you. So I guess that could be, one of my challenges is, just kind of getting out, and just, meeting new people, breaking the ice, introducing myself, striking up a conversation, getting to know them, just building connections. You know, part of why, we're even doing these podcasts, if I had to be honest, was really just to, break out of my shell to actually talk and meet people. And, Rob, I remember, when we had a phone call a few weeks ago that you mentioned that I should go to, Toastmasters. I haven't done that yet, but because I have been busy at my job, but I will definitely look into doing that. And so yeah, we'll start with that point, Rob. What advice would you give to me just to get over that shyness and just get out of the house and start to meet new people?
One moment. Don't be afraid to look bad, because when when you're talking to strangers, and I don't know, the grocery line, you're in line at 7-Eleven by your coffee, you're in Costco or wherever you are. You what I learned. I'm sorry, my mother was just calling me then. um, but um, the when you're just learning to start conversations with people, start it with strangers, and strangers that you're never going to see again. Like, for example, compliment people on, I don't know if I know Brandon's from Florida, okay? Let's say you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, okay? I don't know if you follow sports, it doesn't matter. But if you see someone who's wearing a Tampa Bay Buccaneers hat, shirt, something like that, or something like that, hey, great shirt. Did you watch the Did you watch the game last Sunday? What'd you think of it? Things like that. Create conversation from something you have in common with people, and some people are going to be, who the hell is this guy? And they're going to be like, ignore you. I'm like, okay, they don't want to talk, no biggie. But the one of the biggest things that I learned is not to take things personally, because what happens? And hello, Dulif. I hope I didn't butcher your name there, but because what happens is, for those conclusions which I talked about earlier, um, when you're, so let's say I'm coming across as a nerd, okay? Um, and this person, I'll just call him Jim. Jim had a bad experience with a nerd. Um, and so Jim thinks all nerds are, I don't know, whatever they are. So Jim doesn't talk to anyone who looks like a nerd or he thinks is a nerd, because he's reminded of the bad experience with, I don't know, Bobby or Jimmy or Julie or whatever, okay? So whenever you get a negative reaction from people, the vast majority of the time they are reacting to their past and you're just a reminder.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you
much,
very
Bob.
much, Bob. Sure.
Chase,
Chase,
do you have
do you
anything you
have
want to
anything you
add?
want to add?
Nothing to
Nothing to
add,
add.
but I would like to share my
Go right
experience.
ahead.
So far as I know of, I don't have autism, but I went to a therapy session at one point because my mother suggested that I go because I was having a difficult experience in college and she wanted to make sure that I was okay. So then I described my experience to the gentleman therapist that was there, and he said that I might have had autistic tendencies, but that wasn't the reason for the session. So it was kind of like you might have it and you might not, but I'm not too worried about it. Then I got this book that says Living on the Spectrum, and I asked my friends if they thought I was autistic at all, and they didn't notice any autistic tendencies within me. So I don't believe that's a proper term to use in terms of what I'm experiencing. But so far, I've experienced just very little thinking within the population, and then maybe I just think a little bit more than most people I'm around, and that's okay. So that's been my experience. I'd like to know what do you think about that?
And yo, that's awesome. The what I'm promoting nowadays is simply to work on yourself, and to learn to express yourself in whatever way is authentically you. Because if you come across as a phony, and which I probably did when I was just learning to be more social, people probably judged me in a negative way. Um, and one second here. So, so and when you join Toastmasters, um, you're gonna fall. Don't be afraid. You know, to um, to ask for help. Get a mentor. Ask for a mentor. They should. Most clubs. I've been out of the Toastmaster scene for like the last 5 or 10 years, but when I was in it, my club, everyone got a mentor. And actually, I won awards from Toastmasters. The the highest award that they give to their clubs for having so many club members get 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 more what they call designations. So, uh, my advice to anyone is pretend like you're a rubber band and stretch as much as possible because I'm always stretching. Um, and I'm always stretching and doing as much as I can to be a better version of me. What did you want to say, Richard? Thank you for coming on stage.
Yes,
Yes,
welcome.
welcome.
Hey,
Hey,
thanks. Just
thanks.
wanted to
Just
say
wanted to
hey,
say
Rob.
hey.
I'm getting an echo for some reason. Oh, yeah, that's better. Yeah, no, Rob, do you remember when we first met 15 years ago? Where? Where we met?
At a Starbucks in Culver City, I think.
I thought you came to a workshop that I put on, The Infinite Filmmaker.
Exactly. I think it was at a Starbucks in Culver City.
Oh, okay, that's where I had it at Starbucks. Okay.
Right.
Okay, cool. And you know, one thing that really impressed me about you is that you just were yourself. You could just come up there, you ask questions, you were inquisitive. You were talking to more people than other people were talking to each other. And you just seemed to be like in your own skin. I mean, this was 15 years ago, and you're saying you've been doing work on yourself with these workshops and stuff like that. But uh, I haven't seen any progress other than you just being yourself and feeling good about who you are and what you have to offer people. As a matter of fact, you inspire me because you know you had these challenges and that you were able to work through them. I don't have any challenges, and I'm having a hard time putting together uh, clubhouse rooms and to get up and talk and to express myself and stuff like that. And I guess it's just a little insecurity or something. So one of the questions I have to ask for you is how how did, like that 15 years ago when you showed up at my workshop, what gave you the incentive to come to the workshop and to even to get up and introduce yourself to me? And then we became friends after that. And I was just really inspired by who you are and the character that you are. Um, and I'm so glad that we remained friends because you're my mentor too. I mean, you're always giving me good advice on things, and I really appreciate that. So, what is my question for you, Rob? I don't know. It's not a question.
You asked a question. You asked a question.
What was
Um,
it, Rob?
that what inspired me to go to your workshop.
Okay.
And by the way, you know, you know, there's a saying that says every master was once a disaster. And no, I'm not calling myself a disaster in any way, shape, or form. But there were a lot of formative years before I met you, Richard, whereby I was working on getting out of my shell, um, and going from what's the thing you are before you're a butterfly, a caterpillar, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. So you met me when I was already a butterfly. But there were a lot of years before then when I wasn't quite a butterfly yet. So what inspired me was I'm always looking for a way to stretch. I once sent a bag of rubber bands to a friend, um, and I called him Mister Comfortable to his face because he didn't like stretching. But I knew he was okay with it. I'm never going to do anything with someone without their approval. So he was okay with my um with 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 my reminding him to stretch. Um, so I sent him a bag of rubber bands, and he didn't get the message first. He was like, "Why did you send me the rubber bands?" Well, dude, it's to stretch. So so I believe
Rob, I have
you
a question for
advertise.
you.
Rob, I have a question for you. Yeah,
Could you expand on what you mean by stretch?
sure. Um, by by stretching is always evaluating your strengths and your growth opportunities. And by the way, I teach everything that I'm saying, as your mentor and your coach. So feel free to, go to my website, go to my bio, send me a message. But but in terms of stretching, by by learning new things, by saying you want to learn a language, or you keep having you keep attracting a situation in your life where you're attracting, I don't know, whatever your preferred sex is, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever, who are abusive, or who don't respect you, or who don't honor your boundaries, or whatever. So always look, always do what we call a SWOT analysis, which is your strengths, which is basically your strengths and your weaknesses, um, and determine how what you want to do to do things, and set goals, and join mentoring groups, join, take Tony Robbins, take, Peak Potentials, take a Landmark, whatever you want to take. just just stretch and go from there. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. And so my question, you know and also, when we hear things, there are no coincidences. There there are no coincidences in life. Um, and literally, I was in a clubhouse room earlier today, and this person who was talking about the law of attraction, was saying, if we're not getting what we're looking for, is because we're not open enough to receiving it. So, and Richard, if you want, this person's information, this guy was awesome. I will give you his information. You can reach out to the guy, um, and go from there. I would highly suggest that.
That's great. Can you put him in the
That's
back
great. Can you
chat?
put him in the back chat? Yeah. Well, actually, yeah. I'm not at home now. So what I will do is I will just text you when I get home, because I have his contact information at home.
Awesome, thank you.
So, um, is there? Hello, Marilyn. Um, is there is there anything that anyone would like me to to talk about, or to address, or any questions you have for me? Because I'm here. I love giving out my wisdom.
Rob, I would like to know what your plans for the future are in terms of gaining more clients, or how you see yourself teaching clients in the future.
Sure. I lead by example. Um, so so um, my so one thing, and I always take on new challenges. There's a guy on Clubhouse named Ethan, and I tell dad jokes. And so I was telling jokes in Ethan's Friday night room, and he was like, "Dude, you're hilarious. You should start a YouTube channel." So I'm going to start a YouTube channel with me telling dad jokes. I'm gonna be a I'm gonna go and do multiple open mics as a stand-up comic. Um, because I'm always looking to stretch, and in terms of specific goals, is I'm going to be working with my friend Bill, and I'm going to be creating a a course for those on the autism spectrum that I can sell either on the platform that Richard's part of. I think that Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins have, or perhaps I'll teach it somewhere, or I'll probably teach it live to begin with, just to get the kinks out, and then I'll do it as a self-paced course after I know that it is good to go, and as many kinks are out as possible.
Hey
Hey,
Rob.
Rob.
Hi.
Yep.
Hi. Yeah, I have a suggestion for you.
Sure.
And one of the things I've realized, which is super powerful, is to start a webinar, a weekly webinar, or even daily webinar, whatever you want to do, interviewing people that are in your market. For instance, for me, I would be interviewing other spiritual life coaches. So you take these interviews, and what you do, you can turn them into a book, the information into a book. You can take and post segments of it on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok to be able to get some, recognition. But that's the easiest way, I think, to be able to build your brand, um, and then bring them over to Clubhouse from the other network, other social media
Sure.
sites and
Sure.
stuff. Yeah.
Sure. And another thing which I neglected to mention is I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel. Um, by posting things on there probably once a week to begin with. Um, and by doing that consistently on a certain day, I was on a LinkedIn live class this morning, where they were saying do something consistently, and like they used to say in Field of Dreams, or like they did say in Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. So, so, uh, so I will be building things, and I will be attracting people, uh, and 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 uh, and I'm going to also be posting on LinkedIn in the autism groups there. And another thing, a really big message that I learned is not to label myself. People have labels on themselves galore. Just because just because you're on the autism spectrum, or I don't know, if you're an alcoholic or whatever you are, you know, uh, a, a label is simply a diagnosis. It's not a prognosis. And by setting goals, with the person of your choosing, or the organization of your choosing, uh, then then uh, then you keep growing. So, and Brandon, my suggestion is after you yo after you take Toastmasters for a while, and you've done, I don't know, half a dozen, or a dozen speeches. Uh, Start doing rooms on accounting, or something you're passionate about, because when you're passionate, that's when you attract all the people that you attract, because you're putting out good vibes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you
much,
very
Rob.
much, Rob. Is there eh, is there anyone else that would like to share anything or have any questions for me? And Teresa and Marilyn, you're welcome to come up on stage and ask me questions, or let me see if there's any questions in the chat here. Let's see. No, there are not. Okay.
So, Rob, I know you like jokes and you like telling jokes. If you can recall, what has been your favorite reaction to a joke you've told so far?
Um, my favorite reaction is when I'm telling jokes to a fellow joke teller, and we have a joke fest. Um, and literally for that day job, the call center customer service job I mentioned earlier, my favorite thing that I say to people, or the two favorite things that I say to people are, people are, they have to go and get their medications or whatever. I work for an online pharmacy, so um, so they say thanks for your patience, and I usually say, excuse me, ma'am or sir, but I don't have any patients because I'm not a doctor or a nurse.
That's
It is a
that's
good
great.
one. Thank you.
You know, and if someone's and my other favorite joke is, and most people get a kick out of these, is that when someone's really fed up. I mean, literally, they're angry. They didn't get the medication on time. It was out of stock. Whatever. I say, ma'am or sir, I see, I see that you're angry and upset, and I would be that way also because I'm a human too. And this is supposed to be funny. Did you did you hear that FedEx and UPS were merging? They were like, no. I was like, yeah, they're like you. They're fed up.
That's a great one.
Yeah, thank you again.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
so I go ahead and I make people's days, and that's how I attract people around me, is just by making people's days and making them feel wanted and appreciated. Because people on the autism spectrum don't feel that way.
Yeah, this is true. They're highly misunderstood.
Right, right. And so I'm one of the few coaches out there, few coaches and mentors that's on the spectrum. I'm not just saying things because I learned them in a textbook, you know? I'm saying things from my personal experience. And by the way, you don't have to be on the autism spectrum. It, like I said earlier, if you have a good vibe, Richard and I have a great vibe, but he's not on the spectrum, but we're still friends. So so I'm so I simply just just want to develop friends, develop relationships, and do some co-networking here and there. You know, Perhaps you and I can do a Richard. You and I can do a Richard. One more time. You and I can do a room, Richard, and we can put our minds together. We can figure out what we can talk about because we both have very unique strengths. Where I'm like the self improvement guy and you're the spiritual guy. So it's sort of like I don't I don't want to say it's the odd couple, but opposites attract. So
Rob and Richard take on the world.
right. So
Yeah, Rob. Anytime, just ask me, and I could come in one of your rooms, and you and I can talk. And what I like to do, I like to talk about ahead of time. And okay, what's the subject? What are we going to talk about? What are people going to get out of this conversation? And you and I can come up with a subject, and then do a little. You could be the joke master, and I'll be the mystic.
we can do it.
The joke, the joke master and
Here's
the
a great
mystic.
idea. Here's a great idea that I just came up with. Do you remember Karnak the Great from Johnny Carson?
Jeez, that's way back, wasn't it? Who is it?
Karnak the Great from Johnny Carson. Google Karnak the Great Johnny Carson.
Okay.
And but it has to be but let's talk about that offline. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
this room was supposed to be an hour and it's an hour, and I'm willing to go longer, but Any other um anything else that anyone wanted to mention?
Yeah, I just looked it up, Rob. Connacht the Great was Johnny Carson playing a wizard or something, and
Right, right, right.
yeah,
And
that
you
was
would be
really
the
funny.
wizard
Yeah,
because you're the spiritual guy.
there you go. And you can help me make up the jokes. You can do the bada boom.
Yes, 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 yes. Correct. Welcome.
Okay, but I got to
All
go.
right.
Dinner's ready, Rob. But
Okay. Good.
thank you so much. Appreciate everybody being here and chatting and listening to you guys. And Rob, yeah, let's follow up on that. Great idea.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm going to have to go for dinner.
no problem.
Okay, bye bye.
Talk to you later.
Yep.
So, so I'm always looking for win-win situations, um, whereby we can collaborate and make this world a better place to be because there's so much BS going on nowadays. It's ridiculous. And by BS, I'm not referring to smelly stuff. I'm referring to belief system. And when we examine our belief systems and where our beliefs come from, um, and we and we and we do work on ourselves, you know, then we become a better version of ourselves, and we can contribute even more of our unique talents and gifts.
That sounds
That sounds
great.
great.
Amazing. Truly amazing. Rob, you have been a fantastic guest. Just thank you for everything. For bringing in your guests, sharing your life story, providing us feedback and advice. You truly are an inspiration for all. And if there was an angel sent from the heavens, it would be from you. So thank you again.
Well, like Elvis used to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And remember, even though we're not sheep, that stands for be awesome as always. So be awesome as always, or figure out how you can be an even better version of your already great self.
Fantastic. Amazing. Chase, do you have any final comments before we close for the night?
Rob, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. I look forward to speaking with you again. Until next time.
Okay, have a great night, everyone, and it was my pleasure to contribute to everyone's lives, and replays are on, so please, if you're listening to this on the replay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm an open book, and if anyone has any ideas they want to run by me, you know uh back channel me, go on my website, whatever. Okay, so so we'll all so we'll talk to you all later.